Hey, students. Now, I have what my doctor calls broke motherfucker syndrome. So, me and gambling never really mixed. Yeah, you can make a lot of money from it.
Yeah, he real broke. He real broke. This real cash money mark in the building.
As I said, the odds of you making a set yourself up for life amount of money is at least 1 in a million. Whatever you do, the house always wins. And that's not something most people don't know. But most people is still not all people. And some people tend to react poorly when they don't make a killing at whatever casino. Or in this case, Harvey's casino.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
This place's legal name is Harvey's Resort Hotel. A casino and hotel created by, take a fucking guess, that resided in State Line, Nevada, which is basically just a shitty arena, which is basically just a shitty Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't know why people didn't just go to Las Vegas, it was clearly better. But either way, the 26th of August 1980 was a rather uneventful day at casino. It was just doing its thing, you know, scamming poor people with addictions.
Message!
Until 2 delivery boys brought along a fucking massive box before frantically skedaddling out. For some reason, thinking that this was completely normal, they left it alone until some random security guard walked up to it and saw a note which said, and I quote, "Do not move or tilt this bomb, as the mechanisms controlling the detonators in it will explode at a movement of less than 0.01 of a movement of the open-end Richter scale. Do not try and flood or gas this bomb. There is a float switch and an atmospheric pressure switch set at 26.00 to 33.00. Both are attached to detonators. Do not try and take it apart. The flathead screws are also attached to triggers, and as much as a 1/4 or 3/4 movement will cause it to explode. In other words, this bomb is so sensitive that the slightest movement will either inside or outside will cause it to explode." Starting to suspect it was a bomb, the guard decided he wasn't paid enough to get exploded and called the cops, who evacuated the area before realizing they weren't paid enough, and called the bomb squad, who after examining the bomb completed the rule-free and came to the realization that they were not cut out for this shit. For a casino ransom bomb in State Line, Nevada, this shit was way too elaborate. Like, they put way too much effort into this. Known as the Machine, being the largest civilian bomb recorded in America, and being filled with 1,000 pounds of pure dynamite in the bottom box, on all the circuitry in the top box, which had an assortment of switches, some of which just blew up the bomb, you know, just to keep the squad on their toes. An extortionist informed the squad through the letter that all of the ways of disarming the bomb wouldn't work, and the only way to disarm it was to perform a combination of switch flips to cut the circuitry. They would only give said combination if $3 million, or around £11 million a day, were given to them. After x-raying the bomb for a day, the bomb squad decided they weren't like that and called the FBI, who settled with giving the conspirators the money. But due to the FBI's habit of being very vague for no fucking reason, they went to a wrong drop-off location. After fucking up simple shit like the FBI always does, they decided to think of ways to disarm the bomb. Good luck with that, schmuckers. I'm gonna see what's going on outside. The letter said the public should be unaware of any dealings between the FBI and them, which I understand why. You don't want media circus around it, and you don't want to be, you know, stuff like that. But that was never going to happen. Nobody hears a whole casino has been evacuated nearby and it's crawling with bomb squad and feds and minds their fucking business in America. That ain't going to happen. Hordes of people all over the state came and went to see the commotion. Neighboring casinos placed bets on whether the place was going to explode, and people made and wore t-shirts saying, "I got bombed at Harvey's." Despite all the buffoonery that the media circus brought, they also brought something good. A smart person. Yeah, I know that. I thought they were extinct. A civilian named Leonard Wolfson was in the crowd and gave his idea for a solution of the bomb problem. Now, remember, this guy was really good at bomb defusal. He worked for the Navy and FBI before retiring. So, don't laugh. His idea for defusing the bomb was blowing it up. No, shut up, it makes sense. The idea was to put a C4 charge into the top box, since I had all the circuitry, and blow it up. It could go one of two ways. One, it could blow up, cut all the circuitry before the bomb exploded, later rendering mute. 2, kaboom the whole building. It was the best thing they had, so the FBI agreed. Here I am, live on the scene on August 27, 1980. The FBI is now currently attempting the bomb defusal. It's a risky attempt, but they're professionals, and the car pays their taxes for this very best of the best to protect them. Not me though, I'm from the future, and I will know what's going to happen. You know, this is just to distract us from Epstein. The bomb ripped through the building and neighbouring buildings, killing a whopping no one, not even the person defusing it, since he was doing so remotely. In total, the bomb caused $18 million, or around £17 million today, in damages. The best part is, literally 2 days after, Harvey's reopened due to pressure from the public. I mean, it was partially open, but I think it's funny how gamblers were mad that the building was closed when it looked like this. Now all the excitement was over, it was time to finger someone on the crime.
Good night, everybody.
Initially, they thought it was Harvey himself, considering 1, he was a casino owner, so he was at least slightly sketchy, and 2, he got a rejected permit and loan to expand the building. So it sounded like an open and shut insurance fraud case. But after some digging, interrogations, and all the other stuff, they ultimately couldn't prove anything. However, Harvey's did have someone in mind. John Burgess. John was born Janos Burgess in Hungary in 1922. He flew for the Luftwaffe and provided intelligence for America as a spy. He spent 8 years in the Siberian gulag doing hard labor before returning to Hungary, stealing some guy's wife, and immigrating to America, then building a large, successful landscaping business with ownerships of hotels, restaurants, and all the money in that. With all that money, you need to regulate it somehow, so he took up gambling as a degenerate. Where did he take up gambling? Harvey's, of course, becoming a high roller, getting a reserved luxury suite for free, and even hanged out with Harvey's ranch over the man. But soon enough, his hobby turned into addiction. He started losing money hand over fist. His restaurant mysteriously burnt down, and he collected $300,000 on it, which he lost all on blackjack in one day. One day, John went to Harvey's, blew all his money on blackjack, and went to his luxury suite reserved for him to take a nap. At 2 a.m, he was woken up by a patron and a member of staff. The patron apparently walked into the suite, saw food on the table and the TV on, cleaned up, walked into his bed to see Burgess sleeping. Burgess explained that his was his suite, reserved for him, and the patron said he paid for this specific suite. The member of staff explained that his luxury suite had been taken from him, and he would have to pay to stay for now. Furious, he took his stuff and stayed at a cheap motel. And while he laid in a shitty, probably roach-infested motel, he thought about all the money he wasted at Harvey's. Harvey's took his money. And while he laid there, he got an idea. An awful idea. John Burgess got a wonderful, awful idea. That night, he called his sons who stole the dynamite from the demolition site and associates who built the bomb in a couple of days. Still don't know how they built the bomb in a couple of days, but hey, at least it's not John Burgess who built the bomb. Now, all this info about the bomb and Burgess's involvement in it came from his son, Jim Burgess's ex-girlfriend's boyfriend. So, all of this could have been bullshit he made up for the reward money. Yes, Burgess's van was near Harvey's at the time, but that could have just been a coincidence. So, the FBI threw a Hail Mary. They arrested Jim and his other son, John Jr., yes, their name was Jimmy John, and told them that their dear old dad snitched on them, and not wanted to go down for their degenerate alcoholic dad. They took a deal to testify against him, and that combined with the fact that he represented himself for some reason, which you should never do unless you're a lawyer, led him to a conviction of guilty in 1982 and a life without parole sentencing. His sons, Jimmy and John, did not serve time for their testimony. Alright, I got 2 things to say before I dismiss the class that I didn't bring up before. 1, remember her wife that he stole from a guy? Yeah, her name was Elizabeth Newell, and John abused her along with the boys, eventually taking her own life in 1972. However, some theorize that Burgess murdered her because the circumstances of her death are sketchy at best. And 2, if the sons just shut the fuck up and asked for a lawyer, they would have gone off scot-free. So, moral of the story, just say lawyer. Every time you're detained, say lawyer. Nothing else should come out your head. Alright, fuck off. Class dismissed.